here with some very important folks in our community. First of all, I have Scott Williams, Dr. Scott Williams with the Owensboro Community Technical College. I have Jake Cox with the Daviess County Fire Department, Coulter Tate with the Owensboro Fire Department, and Brian Short with AMR Ambulance. And what we're going to do this morning is talk about a new program that the city, the county, AMR, and OCTC have come together to provide for our community, which is a paramedic training program. And all of these guys, perhaps you folks don't know, but when you call Daviess County Fire Department, the paid staff, when they respond, there is a paramedic responding with them to provide ALS or advanced life service. When you call AMR, the same things happen. Coulter, I think the city is talking about doing that same thing, trying to have a paramedic respond with their folks. It's really important because the EMS and paramedics, there's a difference in the level of training. Unfortunately, we're finding it harder and harder to come up with paramedics here in this local area, not just this local area, all over the state. So the four organizations I just spoke about have come together and have prepared a program to try to get more folks accredited, certified, trained so that they can take the test, a test that all paramedics have to pass. So first of all, I'm just going to throw it out there. Jake, tell me, what's the difference between a paramedic and an EMS?
Well, an EMT is what we would consider basic life support. And your basic life support allows you to do CPR, give oxygen, assist with very, very few medications, like assist somebody with nitro. They can give oxygen. They can give high dose antiphylactic allergic reaction. With your paramedics and your advanced life support, that allows us to carry an array of medications, mainly focused around cardiac drugs. So that when you have a cardiac arrest, your ALS, your paramedics can start all the same cardiac drugs that's going to be given in the ED by the physician, along with intubation, which, being able to breathe for someone. It's a huge educational gap between EMT, basic, BLS, and paramedic advanced life support. It just the things that the paramedics can offer to the community is really just beyond what a lot of people may even believe that we do on a daily basis.
Thank you for correcting me too, because I think I said EMS as opposed to EMT, which is emergency medical technician, and the ALS, advanced life support, versus basic life support, or BLS. Coulter, tell me about the city. Why were you guys so interested in this program?
We were looking at this program twofold, really, to help increase the amount of paramedics in the community. And the second was, we are looking at going to advanced life support within the city. Hired some paramedics. Myself as a paramedic, we've had a few others, and training more in-house will help us achieve the goal of our program.
Okay. And Brian, certainly AMR is interested in the program. Tell me what brought you on board.
Well, this is one of the initiatives that when I came on as director, I really wanted to push forward. And fortunately, I got involved with Chief Smith, Coulter, and Jake, and Dr. Williams. And we were able to hopefully produce a program that's going to allow us to get our EMTs trained and move them into paramedic positions, which will in turn help all three entities. I mean, they're going to be the first response, and then we'll be the transport side of it. So that's why we wanted to get into it. And, there's such a shortage right now. That's the big thing.
Okay. Jake, as judge executive, I'm kind of aware of what my guys at the fire department, the paid staff of the fire department do, and even some of the volunteer fire departments have people trained and as a paramedic. some of our guys work a couple of shifts, don't they? They're paramedics and they work for the Daviess County Fire Department now all the time. Aren't they employed by AMR?
Yes, sir. We have at least 50% of us work for AMR. Most of them work more than one shift a week. Paramedic Quentin Pence, Dan Bellamy, Sean Blanford. I guess that'd just be three of us, maybe a little less. Yeah, but they work quite often for both entities.
Well, I don't know what they paid you to give them a shout out, but Sean, we'll take your name back over there.
I was trying to count them in my head and I couldn't do it without saying it.
Okay. Well, Coulter, tell me, why is it important to have a paramedic there as opposed to an EMT? And I think Jake spoke about it somewhat, but why is it important that I have somebody that can do advanced life support for me instead of basic?
Well, we've at the city, we've gone all the way far as we can with the amount of skills that the EMTs can do. Having the paramedics there with the amount of call volume within the city and overlapping calls provides just another layer in there. It helps improve the quality of life, being able to get there with our 5 stations, being able to get to places a lot quicker sometimes.
Well, and I think that's key. Number one, I remember when the city went, I happened to be a city commissioner when the city and the fire department made a decision that their folks would be trained as EMTs because they could give that basic life support while they are waiting an ambulance. And Brian, we know that we have X number of ambulances stationed all throughout the community. The further you get from the city proper, the corporate limits of the city, the longer it's going to take an ambulance to get out there. And oftentimes, I think our fire department folks probably get there before the ambulance service does. How important is that when we're trying to provide medical services to someone who's had an emergency?
Oh, that's very important. I mean, you could take an example of someone that's having a heart attack. You know, that muscle, the time that it takes to get that medication on board, you know, that's where the damage is going to come into play. And you're exactly right. I mean, we have 5 posts around the city and the county where our trucks are staffed. And let's just use an example. If we have 2 runs on the west side of the county at one time, obviously one of those trucks is going there. So the second truck is going to be coming from farther away. So that time is going to make a big difference when you have the fire department first responders.
And, you know, guys, I think all 3 of you, we have agreements to, if something goes on in the city and they need some help, we're going to respond. And I'm sure the Owensboro Fire Department will do the same. And Brian, I'm sure if McLean County, for instance, had a disaster, we would send people there. And it's just important that we have enough paramedics left in Daviess County to take care of those emergencies that are going to pop up. Well, Scott, I was hoping I wasn't going to bring you in here, but how did these guys involve Owensboro Community Technical College? How did you come into the picture?
So essentially, of course, we have a accredited, COAMP accredited paramedic program. And so I would venture to say many of the paramedics that these guys are working with came through that program. And so Coulter, Jake, Brian, they approached us and said, you know, listen, we've got a real shortage. We need more paramedics. And then the program, because it's, you know, taught in more of a traditional format, takes up to 2 years for them to complete. And said, you know, we have the facilities, we have the certified trainers, you know, we've got the equipment we need, and you know, we have the EMTs that are ready to be moved forward to a paramedic program. So they came to us and we said, well, let's see what we can do. And we were able to work. Joe Dennison, the director, Stacy Edzelis, Dr. Ellis is a dean of over our technical programs. They worked with these gentlemen and really worked out a program to meet their needs. And so it gives us the opportunity to accelerate the process. lets them do it in-house with the people that they already have, and lets them do it on their facility. So because of that, we were able to really accelerate the program and still meet every, you know how things go, Judge. You know, you got to meet all the requirements that accreditors ask us to meet, but we were able to work through that. And so really the effort of these three gentlemen here, and Joe Dennison and Stacy Edzelis, I think they've put together a very strong program. We're excited to see this roll out. And I think the success of this will actually push us forward to maybe doing this in a much more broad scope. So looking forward to getting this thing kicked off.
I just want to assure folks that the term accelerated doesn't mean less qualified, because these folks, once they have gone through the class, graduated the class, will then be required to take a national test to make sure that they've learned what they should have learned and are qualified to do the things that we need them to do. Tell me, I'd be remiss if I didn't talk about COVID-19 and its effect upon the fire departments, the ambulance service. Tell me how COVID-19 has impacted your guys' ability to deliver service. But certainly, if we have a paramedic, we know they're not going to be immune from COVID or from being in isolation. Jake, did it have any effect? Did COVID have any effect on you guys?
For sure. One of the, some of the, besides just the health part of it, the PPE alone that we were going through on a daily basis that typically we wouldn't go through in 6 months. Things like the mask, the full gowns, the full face shields. Chief always having to try to stay on top of it to make sure we have those things, working with the city and with Brian there at AMR. And then away from that, we kind of started limited how many people we were allowing even to get out of the truck and to come into the residence. What we were kind of doing was just sending in, one paramedic to evaluate to make sure that it was safe, so we didn't contaminate or, get 4 people sick versus just one. It's really made a difference on how we focus on every run compared to what we did before COVID.
Coulter, how did it affect you guys?
Along the lines of kind of what Jake said, we already had standard precautions in place. We just enhanced those with additional PPE and going through a lot more PPE, especially when there was a shortage trying to get those things sometimes. We also did limit the number of personnel that go in the residence based off of CDC and health department guidelines. But we really tried to protect the responders so we could keep that level of response that we have, keep going in the city.
Okay, Brian, I'm sure it had some effect. Did it have any effect on personnel? Did you have personnel who came down with COVID? Don't need names or anything or numbers, but were some of them exposed where they had to isolate? Did you have folks who ended up with COVID, and that had to have some kind of an impact on the number of people that you had available to put in the ambulances?
Yeah, you're exactly right. Yes, we, like Jake and Coulter both said, PPE was a big thing for our people, but unfortunately, these people, they still go home, they're still around their family. And so we've had some people that have contracted COVID-19 and they've had to be quarantined and be off. So yeah, that's been something where, our employees have been off. So that causes shortages. Also, anytime we transport someone that has COVID, we then have to decon that unit. So that takes that unit off the street for at least 30 minutes for a decon. So that's something that slows us down also. Okay.
Well, so I don't forget it, I want to send out kudos to Daviess County Fire Chief Jeremy Smith and Fire Chief Howard from the Owensboro Fire Department, because those two guys, I'm sure, had started talking. Jeremy and I had a conversation one day in my office about the lack of qualified paramedics, and that's when I called Scott because Daviess County Fiscal Court and the city of Owensboro and Owensboro Community Technical College have had a really great relationship in the past. I know we've been able to convince Scott and OCTC into doing that high-tech auto program. They did a vet tech program to when there was a lack of those kinds of trained people. And now, as a matter of fact, I think, Scott, you're just starting your first plumbing program. I know they did an HVAC program so we can train folks in the trades. So they're doing exactly what we need a community college to do. They're partnering with us, and they're putting together the programming, the educational side of the programming. We can provide the real world experience side of the programming. They can do the educational, and they're used to dealing with all of those requirements that everyone must meet. So I just want to say thank you to OCTC, and thank you to Chief Smith and to Chief Howard for their involvement. What's the start date, Scott? When does this program start?
This actually starts January. So this will start in January. And I think the couple of them were still, some of them already had some of the general education courses they needed. Those that haven't, and I say general education, there's some biology, anatomy and physiology courses that they need to kind of make sure that, you know, as they learn the advanced life support systems, that they have that base knowledge. So a few of them are taking those this semester, and the actual paramedic component core courses will start in January and it'll run through December.
Okay, and how many students will you start with?
We'll start with 12 in this first cohort. So,
okay,
yeah.
Are they pretty much split between county fire department, city fire department, AMR, or did we put a limit on who could put what in, or is it first come, first serve? And
Yeah.
and on top of that, this is a multi-part question.
Mm-hmm.
Are any of the folks in that first cohort not involved with city, county government, or AMR right now?
So I answer your last question first. They have to be involved with city, county, and AMR in order to participate in this cohort. It's not open to just anybody because the special circumstances in which they're training under. So that's a no, or a yes. It's only those three entities. Coulter, Jake, and Brian can tell you probably better. I don't know that we saved any certain amount of seats. I think the three of them got together and said, "I've got blank, blank, blank," and that's how we filled the cohort. So they may want to speak to that more specifically, but I don't, to my knowledge, we did not really limit, you know, because some of them had more than others, and we want to get everybody accommodated. So.
Okay. Well, Brian, I would assume you probably went to your guys, the ones who weren't paramedics, said, "Hey, we have an opportunity. Anybody interested?"
That's exactly right. We put it out to our EMTs that were employed by us, and we had more than we needed, which is a good thing, to apply for that. But between Coulter, Jake, and myself, we figured we would divide it up evenly, and then if someone couldn't fill a position, then we would pull the extras in.
Okay. Well, Jake, I know the answer to this. Coulter, I think I know the answer to that from you, and I'm sure Brian will say the same thing. So once these guys are paramedics, does that mean anything for their pocketbook? Jake?
It absolutely does. You know, for being a paramedic here at the physical court, we get what I would consider to be called like a stipend every 6 months. Between you and the chief, it's been laid out where these guys get this stipend right before spring break, right before fall break. It's very beneficial to these guys. I will say the four that we have going through it, it's not about the money to them as much as it is they really love what we do with this fire service, but it is a very big point to get other people more interested in saying, "Hey, you know, not only do I get to help people, you know, I get a pay raise, you know," and of course, it's like everything.
Well, you do know that Daviess County Fiscal Court just voted that stipend be sent to the wives or significant others and not directly to the firefighters. Just wanted you to be aware of that.
I missed the court meeting. I wish I would have saw it.
Yeah. Coulter, how will the city handle that will they be giving a stipend or some kind of a bump in salary for really it's extra effort, it's extra work on these guys' part?
Oh yes, definitely a lot of extra work, especially through the program, and then afterwards the additional responsibility. So the city, just like the fiscal court, will be offering a stipend for our personnel that do become licensed paramedics, and then we also have some advanced EMTs that will receive a stipend.
Scott, who, as I am aware of in the trades in particular, sometimes it's hard to find instructors who will be instructing for these classes.
Actually, the instructors will come from the 3 entities represented here. So they'll come through the county, city, and AMR have certified paramedic instructors. So that's one of the beauties of this program. So we've been able to really make it available because they've got instructors to do that.
Now, and I'm sure one of the other 3 guys know, and you might know, I have forgotten, who are we having to satisfy as far as our instruction requirements? There's someone within the state that oversees the paramedic program. Brian, do you know who that is? You know who I'm talking about?
Yeah, Kentucky Board of EMS, they oversee all the certifications, but also after the class, the student will have to pass the National Registry exam also.
Right. Okay. And that was what I was talking about. While it may be a quicker class or a shorter time, these guys are really, it's more intensive because it is over a shorter period of time. And it's not just they were shortchanged in their education. They got to pass the same program that everybody else has to pass.
And actually,
So go ahead. Yes, sir.
They actually spend the same amount of time. They just do it in a compressed manner. So
Right. Okay. Same amount of time in fewer days.
yes.
Correct. Okay. So we're getting close to the end. And I found it interesting that right now you have to be a member of one of the 3 entities: Daviess County Fire Department, Owensboro Fire Department, or AMR, Ambulance Service. Do you see a point in time in which you would open this class to the general public? Say somebody that says, hey, I want to be a firefighter, and I know they're looking for paramedics, and this would enhance my ability to hire on. Or I want to work for an ambulance service, and I know they're always looking for paramedics. So do you see a time in the future that this will be opened up to the general public?
I do. And I think this is really the litmus test. This is our pilot program. So really, this is our opportunity to be able to say, okay, can we do it in this model successfully? Still have, with as Brian said, the COAMPS is a national registry, and they have certain requirements. As long as we can keep our pass rate up, this proves to be a very successful delivery platform. Absolutely, Judge. I think this is the way we will probably be moving in the future. So.
Well, and I think from my standpoint, when we started some of the other programs that I mentioned, we had folks from outside of Owensboro and Daviess County coming to Owensboro Community Technical College. They may have come from Henderson, where they could have gotten some of the credits they needed, but they would come here and we could transfer those credits back and forth. So I would think that there will be a big hue and cry from surrounding counties who have just as bad a need as we do. I mean, paramedics are very rare. Number one. Number two, think of paramedics and our first responders and ambulance and fire. I mean, the burnout that they've experienced over the last 18 to 20 months with COVID, it's just amazing. And I want to publicly thank all of you guys for what you have done serving our community. So in the end, I'm going to go around the room and I'll start with Brian. Do you have anything else that you would like to add or say?
No, I just appreciate the opportunity for us to work with the Owensboro Fire, Daviess County Fire, and the Community College to be able to put this program on.
Okay. Dr. Williams.
I just want to thank these gentlemen here. I want to thank you, Judge, the mayor, the city and fiscal court, and the fire chiefs they came to us. We felt like that this is really a good direction to head. We're excited about participating, excited about really collaborating in this project, and think it's got a very bright future. So I just want to thank all these folks here that really made this happen. So we appreciate the opportunity.
Coulter?
Trying to echo both Dr. Williams and Brian's statements that this is a great program, and been enjoying working with every organization. Hopefully we can keep building on these relationships that have been built, make this a successful program. And I'd like to thank all the fiscal court, the City of Owensboro commissioners and administration for being able to allow us to make this program happen, and also to OCTC.
Yeah, I don't know that there was anybody who was opposed to this effort to enhance and increase the number of paramedics. Jake, I'm going to give you next to the last word, because I always get the last word.
That's right. I really want to thank the fiscal court, City of Owensboro, like Coulter said, and Dr. Williams. Really want to thank the college. What a lot of people don't understand is this is not just a local shortage, it's a national shortage. And what we're trying to do here with you helping us do this accelerated one-year program, it may be a model that fixes a lot of the nation. I want to, we are working so hard to make sure that it's successful, so we can possibly continue doing it here and let other states see that it works, and then we can try to fill some of these voids. Just greatly appreciate the opportunity for everybody that's been involved, and I'm very appreciative.
Well, Jake, on that, to that end, I'm going to be in a meeting with the other judge executives and some folks from across the state. I'm going to hold this program up and tell those folks what we're doing locally. I don't know of anyone else that's doing this, that have gotten all the various folks together, the key players together to try to address what is a national shortage, and it's just exacerbated on the local level. As an elected official, as a member of fiscal court, or the mayor and the city commission, we will all tell you that public safety is the nearest thing to our heart, to make sure that our citizens, the citizens in this community, are taken care of when they need this help or the service is the number one thing that an elected official has to do. And I think this is just proving that. So once again, thank all of you for being with us here today, and stay safe. And I look forward to coming out someday, Dr. Williams, and teaching a little anatomy and physiology for you. So with that, have a good day, guys.
Thanks, Judge Mattingly. Thank you, guys.
Oh, yeah.